Crossroads 2024. This is round number 6. This is a new venue, and I don't believe that they've ever hosted a race before here. I had a creek jump there on the left. If you've seen it as I just went by there, I looked at that creek jump and decided not to try it because when I walked on the jump, the dirt was so soft your feet just stuck into it. So I did not want to jump that as soft as it was. If it was a little bit harder, it would have been no big deal, but it was way too soft to try to jump that. My opinion anyway. When you're old, bones break easier. So got a really good jump off the line there, pulled the whole shot, and planning on just, riding pretty hard here. The whole race is kind of my plan. I had kind of a dumb plan last race that I would ride hard for a lap or two because it was so hot, and then just kind of try to maintain a pace that I could keep up for 2 hours, and found out that I could have ran probably harder than what I did for the full 2 hours, and so I decided this race that I was not going to, hold back and just ride at kind of what I would consider a race pace for the whole 2 hours. And as normal, we're just kind of catching up to some of the C rows here and trying to make as many quick passes as possible. It was probably hotter this day than it was the last race, and I think it was more humid, and let my front wheel get a little off on that off camber right there and just kind of pushed out on me. It was trying to stick, but it finally just pushed out, and so pushed the front corner there, or pushed the front wheel out there in that corner there, and kind of slid out a little bit, but probably didn't lose but maybe 5 or 10 seconds there at the most. Really enjoyed this track. The first lap, it was really fun the first lap, but being new and riding on topsoil, I don't know if you've ridden a lot on topsoil, but it ruts up pretty quick, and so this stuff back here was just absolutely perfect fun. They had a lot of grass sections that I thought were fun, but the creek crossings, they broke down worse and worse and worse throughout the day, and man, by lap 4 and 5, they were tough. They were rutted up really bad. This one got some pretty good ruts. You can see there, this is the first lap, and you can see how bad that rut to the left of me was. So this one developed some pretty bad ruts, but they got a lot worse than that. So we'll just kind of follow some guys here, try and make some quick passes. Ended up 13th overall in the AM bikes. I got first in my class, and ended up making 5 laps. And the next 2 guys in second and third, they ran 4 laps. I wish I only ran 4 laps, because at about an hour and a half, well, you'll see here later in the race that I get stuck in a mud hole and about croak trying to get my bike out. But later in the race, man, it was hot. I was extremely wore out and not completely overheated, but pretty hot. And man, I considered pulling off at 4 laps and just seeing where that put me. But I decided that I could do 1 more lap in a half hour, and that I felt like I probably needed to do that last lap, so I went ahead and ran 1 more lap and ended up able to run 5 laps. And I think there were only 6 people in the AM bikes that did 6 laps. definitely off pace the last couple of laps because it was just brutal for being 55 and this hot and as tired as I got trying to drag my bike out. I felt fortunate to get 5 laps in. So some of these sections here, that section right there is the one I get stuck in. I think the second lap. I got some footage of that. If you stick around after the first lap, I do have a like 6 or 8, what I'll call them, just mud carnage clips of different creek crossings and things like that late in the race. I don't usually show a whole lot more than just the first lap because I figure just a lot of guys want to see the layout of the track and what it was like in the dirt and things like that. But went ahead and put about an extra 6 or 8 minutes of carnage clips on the back if you want to stick around for them. It's kind of normal here, just trying to work my way through as many of the sea riders as possible, as kind of quickly and clean as possible. Talked to some of the landowners and seemed like they were pretty hyped about having a race. They're pretty excited to kind of help out with it, and they seemed super nice and excited about helping out. So that was really cool. Sound like they might have an interest in hosting another race next year. Absolutely beautiful piece of property, and just perfect for a cross-country race. There were like sandy sections where it was literally like just complete sand on some of the hills, which was kind of different. Some good creek crossings, a lot of field sections like this that you'd pop into and kind of run a high-speed field section and then pull back into the woods. So a little bit of everything, plenty of elevation change. I mean, I think this track had everything. If they ever run here again and they could get about maybe another mile, get to that 6 or 6.5 mile range, that'd be about perfect. About halfway through the race, it seemed to me like there weren't a lot of people on the track. I think with just the heat and as tough as the ruts got, and people getting wore out in the pushing their bikes and things like that, it seems to me like the number of riders thinned out quite a bit. This is one of the hills that was basically just all sand. Kind of trying to find my way here through the course of this first time around. Weren't any really long downhills, but there were definitely some good downhills. This section right here got really chewed up by the end of the race. I think I get attacked by a tree up here, right here maybe, yeah. I don't know what this tree was thinking and what its problem was, but I guess it just didn't like me or whatever, but I was hoping it would fall out, but that didn't happen. I had to wrestle it and fight it for a while to get it out of my bike. So Jason ended up getting second place. Rick got third, and then Sam got fourth. And I'm not sure what happened to Sam. I'll have to talk to him at the next race because I think I came around on my second lap. And he was kind of pulled off the side of the track sitting on his bike, so don't know whether he had a mechanical or he had a wreck and just was taking a break or what, but I don't think he ended up doing more than 2 laps. So it was one of those days that if you had a fall or dig your bike out, you didn't really feel like riding anymore because it was just too hot. I don't know how I ended up being able to even ride after I got stuck. I'll wait to talk about it until we get to that clip, but yeah, I was pretty wore out after that.
Thank you.
We're in a town called Otwell, Indiana, which I had never heard of, and pretty far southwest of where I live. We got about 2 hours and 50 minutes or so to get to this race, but as you can tell, it was a good one. Anytime you can run on fresh track, I mean, it don't get no better than running on fresh track. It's just, single track stuff like this is just awesome. So it was a long drive for me, but man, looks like I'm just trying to make a couple more passes here. Kind of getting held up just a little bit. I was able to flip my tire around right before this race and get kind of some fresh edge on the front of my tire, and I was glad that I did. We got quite a bit of rain during the week, and luckily I think we had about a day when it didn't get rain, so as you can tell, most of the track is just flat out perfect. Those low-lying areas were really the only sections that were holding water and holding a lot of moisture. There was that section right there. There was a turn right there that went in and back out, and I think almost every lap somebody had blown that tape. It was just that turn was just in a bad spot, and you couldn't stop to make that turn. You didn't have enough. There was too much. It was too high speed coming into that, and then you kind of came around a bunch of brush, and then there was a turn there, and nobody could see it. And I think that tape was blown just about every time I came around. I ended up doing that little loop about twice, and then it became apparent that nobody was doing the loop. So eventually, I think everybody probably the track crew put that tape up a couple of times, and then it just wasn't worth it putting it back up, because every time somebody come around that corner, they blow that tape. I rode a couple of times during the week and made one small clicker adjustment to my bike, and I'm just super happy with my bike. Suspension on my bike. You can see here some carnage there on the left, and this is one of the sections that got really pretty tough. Again, this is the first lap, and so these sections here got pretty sketchy later in the race. You really had to be smart and pick the right line, because if you didn't, you were screwed. But I was going to say, I use a company called Pro-Tune Suspension, and they worked on my bike and Zach's bike, the suspension, and super happy with what they did with my bike. I've been racing with that Pro-Tune suspensions settings on my bike for 5 years. So if you're looking for a suspension in your bike, Corey at Pro Tune Suspension is definitely a good guy to check out.
Not your row. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you, bud.
At this point in the race, I'm feeling really good. The heat really is not bothering me at all at this point. And pretty much feel like I could run this pace right here the rest of the race. But I throw that idea away here in just a little bit. And then, quite frankly, late in the race, you had to come into those crossings really slow and really look at them really good to figure out what happened over the last lap, because the rut that you took one lap ago could be twice as deep as what it was the last time you went through it. So I made one mistake of coming in too fast to one of those sections and got stuck. And quite frankly, I just decided for the rest of the race, when I come into those sections, I'm just going to almost come to a stop, even though I can't stand it. When people do that, this race, there wasn't no way around it. You had to come into those sections and really take kind of a look at it and decide which line you were going to take. Because if you got stuck on a day like this, as hot as it was, you had no energy left. This was one of those days where if you were following somebody, you could almost guarantee that sooner or later they were going to make a mistake and let you by. You just kind of had to keep on your toes and pay attention to not follow too close, but close enough to take advantage if anything happened. So we're getting here close to the end of the first lap. And got a grass track section here. I think we're going to come around into this valley and end up finishing up the first lap. Cash and the Crossroads crew, I think, just did a great job again with this track. It was marked really well. No problems with scoring that I could tell. Everything seemed like it went very well. So this is where I come down into one of these mud holes and pick the wrong one right here. I was hoping I could get out of this without too much problem, but this thing is stinking deep. My bike's running, just sitting there spinning. No dice on pulling it backwards. And everything to the left of me is just an absolute slop hole. I figure it's going to get bad, so goggles come off and prepare for the inevitable. You guys know that once you stop, then the heat starts really hitting you. Trying to decide how I'm gonna tackle this mess. I'm trying not to go too crazy here because heart rate's already up and heat's already coming up, and I know it's only going to get worse once I get my bike pulled out over into the muck. This middle part here is pretty nasty, so I don't show much more of this, but I pull my front end around, and the only way I can get my front end around is my boot is stuck in the mud and my bike kind of falls on top of me, and now I'm stuck. I literally can't move, so be enough of that. We'll jump to a different clip. These are laps probably 4:45, and so these are just clips of the track broken down. I thought I'd give you guys some clips of what the track ended up like at the end of the race. Because after I got my bike stuck, then I did not have a lot of energy left for the rest of the race. Ended up having to ride a lot of the rest of the race sitting down. And then just stuff like this, you know, everything was a battle. Of course, the roller doesn't do that stuff justice, but you know, you just keep coming up to crossing after crossing after crossing where people are just kind of sitting there looking at it. Came up through here and kind of bunny hopped over the ruts on these turns. And I think this is the fourth lap, because I come through here one more time. But you just had to be careful what you were doing. Because if I would have got stuck one more time like that, I don't think I could have got my bike out. This section got really nasty. Again, I think this is the fourth lap, because on my fifth lap I took a completely different line than this one. And you had to get pretty creative. Pretty creative to cross some of these sections here without getting stuck in a rut. I generally don't spend too much time, almost ever, waiting behind people. But in this particular situation, I did not want to get stuck again. So I was really picking my lines, really being kind of picky on how to cross. This poor guy here, I know exactly what he's feeling. He's in a bad spot. Yeah, so once again, just kind of paying attention to what's going on and got to hit everything the right way. So that's my brother sitting there. I had no idea it was my brother. He pointed to a better line. I just said, "Thanks, bud." And yeah, I think he sat there for a while. The sand hill got pretty gnarly. One lap I had to try to take an alternate line because there was a guy stuck on that hill, and I had to pull my bike back down the hill. So a lot of that kind of stuff going on. Yeah, so this turned into Ironman Hill here eventually. I think this could be my fifth lap, maybe. Once again, just trying to take the right line there. But so there was a few clips there. See how the track broke down if you had an interest. Video's a little bit longer than normal, but hey, it is what it is. Hope you enjoy the video, and we'll be planning on hitting the next race.